going on, guys? Welcome back. Copycat was my most anticipated card this season. So we're going to break down, is this card too good? Is she destined for a nerf? And obviously break down all the synergies and what Alex and I like so much about her. But with that, if you can't get a lot of new cards, well, what do? Alex and I are going to talk about the cards that you should be building around and decks that you can have if you're more free to play friendly. And just talk about the best decks there so you don't always feel like you're missing out on the new shiny thing. And then lastly, we're playing a game called Higher or Lower. Alex is going to be put to the test, and you guys as well. Does the card have a higher or lower play rate than the card that it's compared to? Going to be a lot of fun today, and we're going to talk about that all today and more on this episode of the Snapchat. And as always, I am joined by the one and only Mr. Alex Coccia. It is Deadpool and Wolverine week. It is San Diego Comic-Con, and it is Copycat week, man. So it's a great day to be a Marvel fan. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Actually, can we restart the? I need to actually change. Like, I'm so hot right now. I want to just take down the temperature a little bit here.
You can do that from your phone over there?
Yeah. Wait, you don't have a Nest?
No, I don't have an AC here, and I don't have an. Well, I have an AC, but I don't have AC in the house. Do you have just beautiful AC all around your house?
Yeah. Wait, hold on. You live in a vacation destination, like beautiful area, tons of sunshine. You don't have AC? I'm in like north of Canada.
First of all, this sounds like a commercial we're doing at like 2 a.m. where it's like, are you hot? I don't have AC. No, this is not an ad, guys. No, so San Diego has like some of the best weather in the world. I think it's like probably top 5. Okay, like top 5, always beautiful, never too hot, never too cold. But then they're like, hey, let's save a buck and never put AC in any of the houses. So we don't have, it's called open a window here. So that's why I'm always wearing like hoodies and like sweaters all the time, because I've got a blasting little window unit here, which is awful. It's not the same, but I definitely can't control it on my phone, man. Look at you. You're in the future.
That's mind-blowing to me. That's absolutely wait. To San Diego, is that one of the places in America where you guys don't have basements either?
Definitely don't have basements. What? There would be no reason to have a basement here. No. No. There's a lot of places in the U.S. I think that doesn't have basements.
So you guys don't have air conditioning. You guys don't have basements. Just so you know, air-conditioned basements are like 15 degrees cooler than everywhere else in the house.
Dude, I wish that I had a basement, mainly because that would be my studio. Like, I am people misconception. I am in a very small room here, right? Like, I'm working with some small. I would love to. The creative stuff I could do, man. I got a green screen here that I'm trying to I'm too tall for, so I have to perfectly take my shoes off. It's budget city over here. Do you have in your basement?
You're too tall for a lot of things, buddy.
Yeah, a little bit. Are you in a basement though?
Yeah. I'm in a basement, that's why you always hear pounding on the ceiling above me, because my kids will run around the floor, throw toys against the floor while recording and stuff. If you listen very carefully, you can hear it sometimes.
Oh no, definitely. I can. There'll be times where I'm like, we gotta stop, guys, because we can't even. Well,
someone's getting body slammed upstairs.
This is brought to you by Nest. Well, dude, so. This is cool. I'm pretty sure Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are coming to San Diego Comic-Con. If you don't know what Comic-Con it is, it's like the Super Bowl for nerds in San Diego. It's like the main hub of Comic-Con. It's massive. There's so many people. Last Comic-Con I went to, I literally met 3,000 people that played Snap, man. Kind of like PAX, but like amplified like crazy. It's just a cool experience, man. I'm pretty amped to go. Maybe I'll see Ryan.
Yeah, one of these days I'd like to go. I'd like to make the flight down to San Diego and go to Comic-Con. And I actually looked up tickets and stuff, but apparently they sold out a long time ago.
They sell out 8 months in advance, and you have to win them in a lottery. So the cool thing about Comic-Con is they don't sell them necessarily for you can't buy them for $10K. If you have money, you can't buy them. It's a lottery system, and you have to hope you win. But the cool thing is if you get in once, you can kind of always get in. It's like this axis in. Yeah, so... it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of walking and roaming, but it's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And honestly, one of these days I'm gonna make it out because it sounds like it's incredible. I know you had a fantastic experience last year. Hopefully, you see some more Marvel Snap artists and Marvel Snap celebrities.
Wait, tell me if I could pick you up any comic with a variant cover, you want Art Germ? If I could get you a couple Art Germs?
Yeah, give me the Archer. No. Kim Jacinto, Kitty Pryde.
Okay. I'll look for it, man. There's a lot of artists, too. It's called Artist Alley. So a lot of people have, just their... Actually, no, check this out, man. All right, so this is Larry Houston. He's the one that made the original X-Men back in the 90s. Pretty sick art. These are more prints, but same thing. Got him signed. He was just kind of talking about it. And, this was before X-Men 97 came out. And he kind of, gave his opinion on, the show. Dude, check out this one, man. This is pretty sweet.
Oh, that's nice, yeah.
This was just like a random artist. And it was funny because I kept sending these to Johnny as like, hey, you should make these guys do variants in Snap. Because some of these would be epic. I want this as a variant in Snap. And then this Doctor Strange. Some pretty cool stuff, man. So I like going to Artist Alley and checking out some of the local art there and whatnot. Obviously, I'm too lazy to hang it up and get a frame. And not only that, this Friday, we got something else. We got an announcement. We're pumped. It's been 2 years of Snapchat, doing it all the time. And finally, Alex and I are going to be co-hosting Marvel Snap Conquerors. It's going to be Maximum Effort edition. And I'm pumped, man. We've got... it's a song and dance. We've got creators. There's more specifics going to be announced on like the Marvel Snap official channels. You'll see it on ours as well. But Alex and I this Friday are casting. I am amped to essentially just take this. Like we're just going to take this and go cast some Snap games, man.
I couldn't be more excited. This is like a lifelong dream coming true, being able to like cast an event for a game that I absolutely love with someone who I absolutely love. And this is gonna be so good, dude. I'm so excited. I don't know what else to say other than like, I cannot believe this is happening and I cannot wait till Friday. And the guest list is absolutely remarkable. You guys can be floored.
But dude, we've got a lot to talk about on this episode. We got Copycat, who I'm a little bit afraid of. Alex, I think she might be too good. Literally is my prediction on the card. And then we have a game to play here that I'm going to play a little stumping with Alex and you guys. But Alex, what are we talking about on your side of this Snapchat?
Cozy, on my side of the Snapchat, we're going to be talking about Ajax in review. Very interesting card, and we're going to be discussing it and whether or not it's worth your spotlight keys and your tokens. And then we're going to be talking about the new villains of Marvel Snap. We've had some major meta shakeups, some major releases, and let's just say, tilting some people out, and we're going to talk about those cards. And then finally, of course, our Snapchat mailbag.
Well, let's get to it. Let's talk about Copycat, who was my 5-star this early season, my prediction of the best card this season, and I think she might be one of the best cards this summer, buddy, because there's a lot to break down. If you don't know, she is a 3-cost, 5-power card. When you draw this, she's going to steal the text from the bottom card of your opponent's deck. So super useful right off the bat, guys, if you can't read or hear. You don't have to play her. She's a free way to get information and disrupt, which we haven't really seen in Marvel Snap. Very rare to get something like that with premium stats. And because of that, there's not a lot of cons. There's just not a lot of cons for this card. And that is why I think she might be too good. And I think the only thing I'm hesitant about is that it's like Red Hulk. It's not as good as the power, right? But you see it and you're like, there's just no way 4 OTAs, 3 OTAs, 2, dare I say, Glenn, she's not a 3-4.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, right? Like, if you think about the original OG Marvel Snap beta launch, Cyclops was a 3-4 and High Evo didn't exist. And that was considered the vanilla baseline card. And like the Let's Move X-Men was a meme for a long time on the Snapchat. And suddenly we have a 3-5 with an absolutely fantastic disruptive ability that gives information while also disrupting their deck. It's crazy how far we have come. This card is absolutely cracked, and could it be releasing too hot, man? I wonder. Like this was one of those ones I want to make 5 stars, but I mean, I mean, if I could go 5 stars, I will. But you're kind of making me go 4, maybe 4.5, Cozy, if you'll allow me.
You did the Cassandra. I get it. We can only pick one. I understand it was a tough call. And hey, next week I'm gonna be in the same boat. I'm gonna be like, but I want to give it. Listen, when we didn't know if she showed your opponent or not, which one you copied, I was like, okay, that makes sense. If they show the opponent, you kind of lose that advantage. You know, if you take their Shang-Chi, they know. But she does. And I don't think they'll change that. They could go her as low as like a 3-3, and I still think she's okay. I don't think they'll go that low. I think they would go to 3-4 first. But the thing is the card just has to be marginally okay, and immediately you're happy. Because 3-5's insane value. And we're going to talk about some cards today that if she takes, you're just like, it's such a snap. It's such a snap condition of a card. And this reminds me of the Hope Summers types of cards where it's just immediately plug her in the deck. She's not going to be the worst card by any stretch. She could be the best card. She could be a game plan. So this is like Cable goes in decks, right? Like Loki mainly sees him because it kind of works with your game plan. What's great about Copycat is you can put her in anything. Let's say Patriot. And if you're not getting things going or maybe they've got a hard counter, you just maybe hope Copycat steals something great and you've got yourself a win condition.
The interesting thing about this as well is that it's when it's drawn and not played. Yeah. So you can get information and not even play the card. right? You might be in a situation where Copycat is not the card that you have to play, but it's turn 6, you top deck Copycat, and it took their Shang-Chi. You're like, whoa, whoa, my blob is safe, man, or whatever, unless they Shadow King it or whatever. But, oh, they don't have their Shang-Chi, it's at the bottom of their deck. That's useful. Like, that's useful. So she can do something even when she's in your hand, and your opponent has no idea. It's pretty remarkable.
And that's the thing. Information's key, number one, right? Like, just getting the information low. I know, like, they technically won't get the card. Doesn't matter. Like, they don't know that. You know that. And that's even more powerful than them not knowing that, right? So, getting a Hela or whatever is massive. And there are certain decks, like, let's say, a Nihilus. That's the game plan. That's the main game plan. And if you're, or even better, maybe like something like they're doing Hazmat, Ajax, they're going crazy, and you got their Luke Cage, and you're like, they don't even know. They don't even know that you're about to ruin their day. So I think it's just such a crazy possibility of just the information gathering, for one. Good stats, for two. But then she's a new way to energy cheat, for three. And that's where it's really special, especially with some of the decks nowadays that are very leaned heavy on the high power, high cost cards, as we've seen. And on top of that, she comes with Cool Obsidian and Thanos, dude. So it's not even like she's in a bad spotlight week either.
No, this is an absolutely incredible week. Like, if you're a relatively new player, just anyone, right? Thanos, Cull Obsidian, fantastic cards. They are, I mean, Cull Obsidian finds itself in a number of decks. Obviously, it goes into the Thanos decks, goes into Zoo decks, it goes into just straight up good cards value decks. Thanos is Thanos. We've been talking about over and over again that his time is coming, right? They're going to be constantly making adjustments to that card until it's like, you know, playable. And I mean, even the changes to Lockjaw that we saw in the OTA, that's a high five to Thanos. I mean, a Marvel Snap content creator that I love. I mean, Meta Thanos is back, baby. Released a video and I was playing that deck. I was like, hell yeah, Meta Thanos is back. And it's good to see Thanos making a bit more of an impression than he used to. But Cozy, I got to challenge you on one thing. There is a situation where I think Copycat is a 1-star card, and I want your opinion. How is it going to feel when it's played against you?
I wanted to have this discussion because I'm so glad you brought this up. Dude, if there is such a rinse and repeat of this cycle. We saw it with Loki, Annihilus. We've seen it now. Like with Hope Summers, it doesn't happen because it's kind of like, it's not a fair card, but it's not like doing something crazy to you. And then we saw it with Airsham. Airsham, best card of the game. I love it. So much fun. Dexter, I'm calling you out. I love you. He did a tweet like, it's my best friend. And then he's like, I hate it. Actually, you commented on that, right? I hate it now.
Yeah.
But I've seen this all the time. And it's like, that's what we talked about last week. It was like, remember, it's a fun game at the end of the day, right? I am really worried about this one because, you know, there's no way to account for their Copycat taking your Galactus. And then all of a sudden, you get Galactus, and you're like, what just happened? What are we doing? And so I am worried about that, and that's why I think also they're going to tune her pretty quick.
It's pretty funny from my perspective because like we all want like really cool cards and we want to play the really cool cards, but we forget what it's like to have the cards played against us sometimes. It's like, oh, I can't wait to play Copycat and it copies Doctor Doom and I smash it on turn 3 and they're like, what's happening? And I've already snapped. And then on the other side, they snap and they play a turn 3 Doctor Doom with Copycat and you're like, what just happened to me?
Dude, High Evo, Loki, Blob, those are the ones I remember like, they're so cool. These are so cool. And within days, people were just, I hate this card. The loudest people in the room. How could you? Second dinner. What are you doing? It's a money grab. It's, you know, and so it's just funny to me that it is this vicious cycle. If a card's bad, it's hated. If it's too good, it's kind of hated. Make more mediocre, middle of the pack cards, second dinner, that aren't creative, I guess, right? Like, it's just a tough solution.
This is like a preview for my second topic.
Yeah, I know, right? It's true. It is true. And to that point, you did say, what are some cards you don't want her to copy? Very small, but like Infinite, you would take the text and they would maybe somehow get that card, which, you know, I was kind of thinking about. People are saying there's no way for them to get that card in most games outside of maybe a couple like drawing games with the Magic in there. But what's really cool is, as you guys know, if you play, it's kind of a popular deck. You know Darkhawk? You ever heard of him?
Heard of it.
Marginally played. Korg and Rockslide. Do you know what they do? They pump rocks in the deck. You know what else they do?
They sit on the board.
They shuffle the cards.
Korg talks now.
Dude, I love the voice actor for that is awesome. They did such a good job for that Korg. They shuffle your opponent's deck with rocks. So if you can, in theory, play Copycat and then play Korg or Rockslide, you are then giving them a chance. You're essentially putting a rock in their deck and you're giving them a dead static card.
Very fascinating. I hadn't considered that, Cozy. You're like ahead of the game there. You are correct. You will reshuffle their deck. I mean, does this bring back Howard the Duck?
Oh god, no. It never brings back him because he was never here. I don't know. Besides that, it may be like an Attilian. That's the only way your opponent's gonna get that said card. But let's go and transition a little bit. I will say, be on the lookout. Who is this for? In my opinion, this is for the person that can't make up their mind with decks they like to play, right? So if you want to be more competitive, I would say, and this is the next topic, or the third topic, you're gonna want to concentrate on a couple cards to build decks around, to make them good, and get good with that deck. Copycat is for the person that likes to play with a little bit of everything, and she can go in most decks. She's going to be that kind of card that you can't replace. If that's kind of where you are in Snap, that's what she's going to serve.
Yeah, and I can see this being pretty plug and playable into a lot of like good cards based decks.
Yeah.
I see it, like you brought up Hope Summers. One of the benefits of Hope Summers was that it had this very wide range of applicable decks in it. There were some obvious ones like Kitty Pride Bounce, stuff like that. And then there was even things like High Evo played her, because like having that extra energy, being able to float and pew pew Cyclops, that's super valuable. And I feel like Copycat's in a similar position where like there's gonna be a whole gamut of decks that like the effect is just useful. The stats are great. The challenge is that, of course, we are in a 12 card deck building game. And so like, is she the 11th or 12th card in the deck, right? Because the decks get so tight, but the effect is so unbelievably strong.
I think she's worth it. I think she's worth it as that alternate condition, most likely in a good chunk of decks. Not to mention Surfer, which I just can't play. You know what? Would you play, because this could kill the card a little bit, would you play her as a 4/6?
I'm not sure.
That hurts.
I had a thought, like in my notes, I said Surfer ? I'm not sold on this being a Surfer card, because Silver Surfer cards have a very specific goal attached to them. Like you're playing them as 3-drops for a very specific reason, right? Yep. And I feel like this one is too general, and it's still good stats, everything like that, but like, if the meta calls for it, you're going to want something like a Gladiator. If the meta calls for it, you can want something like a Rogue or a Red Guardian. And some of those cards get cut from the decks, right? So Copycat, while being extremely good, well-statted, and obviously information gathering, it makes me wonder if she actually makes those Surfer decks, because it's like the effect is too random, and I feel like Silver Surfer wants a very straightforward play pattern.
I respect what you're saying in the sense of Surfer has become more destroy, in the sense of it is very selective on the cards you can play, the combos, you need one or the other. But what I see is she's working alongside the Surfer game plan, right? So she's not only just working with the game plan, but she's also like, hey, maybe you don't get Surfer. Maybe you don't get one of those key cards like Brood. Now you've got a card with an alternate game plan that could not be the best play, but you're getting an ability no matter what. And she's that 3/5, right? And so it's going to be a toss-up. I'm curious what boat she goes with. I'm on the boat that she's probably going to aid Surfer because she's doing what the deck's doing, like Cable to Loki. But it is, you do bring up a good point. To the other point, though, does 4/6 kill the card? If that's the route they go with to nerf her.
I think it probably does.
It hurts it a lot.
4/6 is a huge nerf, right?
I'm worried about that.
That's a massive, massive nerf. 3/5 is premium. 4/6 is like brutally understated. Crossbones is the 4/10. Let's not forget.
And that's what I'm nervous about. I'm nervous about all this excitement, right? All this excitement, which they didn't like kill Red Hulk, so to be fair, but I'm worried about the excitement. It goes 2 to 3 weeks. She dominates, right? Let's say she's just in so many decks, and they're like, we got to tame her. They go 4/6. 4/7 maybe, but it's even then, like the boomer bust with her goes down so significantly, I feel like.
I feel like this can't be as soul crushing as a Red Hulk or release Loki. Like it's going to be phenomenal, but I feel like it can't be soul crushing the way those cards were. Like there's no way you lose a game and you're like, Copycat F, and you throw your desk. Like that's not, like Red Hulk had those moments, original Loki had those moments. But then again, I mean, Copycat can't, like it's the turn 3 Galactus you were talking about, right? But you know you have Galactus in your deck.
For those that watch Alex's stream, be sure to clip this moment right here whenever Alex does that on stream, and then just go ahead and send it to him if you don't mind. No, but I get what you're saying. She doesn't have the all-encompassing power for the most part, right? Like Loki's doing the whole deck, whatever. That would be my only fear with it. I think that's what a lot of, whatever commenters might say about if they do take care of her. Or maybe, what people need to understand is, A, there's not too many cards that she copies that suck. Infinite's one, I guess. Maybe the Hobgoblins you wouldn't play her. But the thing is, you don't have to play to get this effect. So she steals that text, and then you have that 3/5, and you're like, cool, okay. Like, I got a Spectrum. I don't have ongoing cards, but like, okay, you have a 3/5. Or you just don't play it.
Yeah, and I guess if she gets super, super popular, like a 75% play rate like Airsham did, everyone just plays Patriot. and Bates Bates cards to have their text removed. I guess that could be a possible counterplay if you're really huffing hopium, I guess.
So obviously some of the best cards that she can copy, they're not all on reveal. Obviously a good chunk of them can be on reveal. I mean, at the top of the list, it's the usual suspects, the white tigers and the brood, the hood. These are just like great value cards. But also you got things like Ravonna Renslayer, a 3/5. That's not bad. Or Iron Man. Iron Man's ridiculous, man. A 3/5 double location, 10 power. That's a snapper. That's an instant one. What about Ultron? A 3/5 Ultron.
Oh, it's interesting. Like 3/5 Ultron would be cool, like to hold in your hand, play in conjunction on turn 6, right? I had this thought of like, what are some like really high impact cards in the meta right now that would be amazing to pull? I think that Sage is a great example of a card like starting at 3/5. Like you get Sage to what, 20 power at times, right? I mean, you talked about Iron Man, which is on my list as well. Like absolutely wild. Even something like you copy like an early Odin, right? And now you have that at 3 power, and then you're able to sprint. Like you could combo like an Ironheart Odin or something like that, and just that redo of the ongoing effect. And they have no idea that they're not getting their card, right?
Or Jubilee, or Blink Lockjaw. Those 3 are just like crazy effect cards to have down early, right? Lockjaw now being included. 3/5 Jeff right off the board. It's a Nocturne, right? Like it's just off immediately. Or a Nocturne. It's the same card. But at the end of the day, Galactus, Blob. It's not even that the fact that you can play these on turn 6. These are the classic you save. Those big ones you save. You let your opponent think they're gonna win, and then you pop them with a turn 6 Blob. But even something as easy as tech cards, bro. Any of them. Shadowkin, Shang-Chi, Enchantress. You got Zapu activated for nothing.
It's true. It's true. I mean, something like a Spider Ham, right? You play a 3/5 Spider Ham. And it's like so many of these different effects are so powerful. But when you put them on a 3/5 body, suddenly it's like, oh, this is actually really awesome, right? And if you get something like an Apocalypse, you're like, well, Alex, this is useless. Well, no. You just took out their Apocalypse. They can't actually do the combo, and they don't have their Apocalypse in their hand, right?
Exactly. And at the end of the day, you have a 3/5. Like if this was when drawn generates a random ability in the game, like there would be so much more room for error. But the thing is, people make good decks. People have good cards and good decks.
Do you know what Copycat crushes? Destroy. Think about it. Copying Null, copying Death, right? These are all cards that they really want to like use as kind of like the coup de grace near the end of the game. You have this Copycat that's now a 0/5, which isn't crazy, but it's still 0/5 for all those Sabretooth enjoyers out there. But realistically, like Null, it's like the Null power is just ranking. It's just kind of going out of control. And sometimes they don't even have the chance to play their Null, right? The way the game plays out, and all of a sudden you just slam it down. That's absolutely nuts.
You take the destroy effect. It's filthy. Like that, they worked so hard. Hopefully top deck a Null this time, and you're just sitting there. Like, thank you for the free 350 power Null ready to go. Yeah, man, I agree. Alioth, crazy. Leader, Ornum Zola. We can keep going. Just really solid cards that she can copy. I don't know. I'm a little worried. I think the gameplay is going to be a lot of fun, especially with Conquerors Friday, right? Because it's like this is going to be just chaos. Like there's just a great card with a lot of random output. Conquest in any information gathering card has a bump up there, but she's already going to be great in regular rank play. And so, yeah, sky's the limit with the card. Again, the only con to it that I can see is she's too good.
I have a bit of a interesting take. Is this a shadow nerf to Iron Lad? Because technically Iron Lad's used to reach into decks, right? Often like a Hello player is going to try and reach into the deck or Tribunal or whatever. Is there a chance that they're copying a card with no text?
Oh, for the opponents. I was like, well, your own. What do you mean? But yeah, for your opponents. Yeah, that's
That's what I mean. They're trying to use Iron Lad and you just rip the text off.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of wild. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's true. That definitely could be. I mean, in higher or lower, I might have Iron Lad for you to guess in between. So his play rate's kind of interesting at the moment. But that is a good take for sure. I think, does she make any and every deck? Just about, right? Outside of like maybe ramp or something?
She can be played pretty much anywhere, honestly. And that's kind of where I think the experimentation is going to happen here. Very plug and playable in so many different decks. And you actually brought up a good point. Silver Surfer, I mentioned, perhaps not the best spot. I'm still going to try her in there for sure. but disproportionately better in Conquest. So if you're in Infinity Conquest week and you're a Silver Surfer gamer, Copycat suddenly makes much more sense in those matchups, right? And so like there are a lot of cards like that where suddenly like a matchup dependent card like Cable feels way better in, I mean, it feels good in regular gameplay, but in Conquest it feels even better. And that actually brings up my next kind of synergy. I've been a huge enjoyer of Baron Zemo, despite the fact that the win rate is not all that high. It's just a fun deck for me to play. I really do like it. Do you think Copycat works well in those decks?
Yeah, if you play, yes and no, right? Because in once it's the word, like, and maybe that's like a weird surfer build you could do, but it's like with Korg, I love that synergy as well in Rockside, but then you're almost like having to like, anytime like Black Swan where you have to like change the layout of when you play a card, sometimes it could be a bit awkward, you know what I mean? Like, because you're trying to, you know, I think Mill could like this because you're already disrupting and then you mess him up even more. So with Baron Zemo, yes. With the Korg into the rock slide, it's like, okay, the ordering could be awkward when to play what. But I think Baron is a hot take. I like that.
The challenge with Baron I was trying to come up with like some of my deck brewing in advance of this week was how do I make it so that if I like, there's the chance you have is that like you copy or you strip their lowest cost card of its abilities,
okay,
or whatever, and then Baron pulls that card. Right? That's the one issue where like you might actually, you know, Copycat their lowest card and then Baron pulls that low card onto the field to play for you, which doesn't have an effect now and ultimately just takes it out of their deck.
Which is crazy to me because if she's in your opening hand, right, you're drawing it, then you just get to start the game with that information knowledge, which is then kind of cool for Baron because then you can decide what you want to do there and if it's a high or a low cost card and kind of evaluate the deck that you're playing. That alone, I mean, dude, it's not just the energy cheat. It's not just the information gathering. It's the disruption. It's the full... It's just so many things compacted into one card, which is why we like things like Jeff, right? Just movement, good stats can do this. Nocturne, movement, good stats can change location. It's multiple things in one.
And the information for snapping, right? Like you might know on turn 2 or in your opening hand that they're not going to get their Hela, or they're not getting their Black Knight, or you have their Darkhawk. Right? And you're able to snap in a way that they don't know what they're drawing into for the next 4 turns.
And that's like Cable. It can be obvious. You play Cable down, you snap, and they're like, well, damn, they definitely took the card I need. Nothing gives, there's no giveaway that Copycat's even in your deck. And think about a couple weeks from now when she's kind of hot stuff and out of there and yeah, she's going to be within the meta. And then you legit don't know what decks have Copycat and don't. That's why I think she provides so much value into a lot of people that just need a card that can kind of be really flexible and carry immense weight. Jeff is flexible, and he does have a lot to offer, but he's a 2/3 that can move. This is just such a great plug-in option to just so many builds. I'll be transitioning my friend to a game called Higher or Lower. It's a game I used to play with like movies and different things like that when I was a variety streamer. A lot of fun to play, but we're gonna do it with snap cards based on essentially games seen. How many times this is indexed. It's ranked mode. All of the ranks are going to be counting for this last 30 days, right? So I'm going to say a card. I'm going to say another card. You need to tell me if that first card that I say is higher or lower than the second card in terms of game seen, right? So if I were to say Brood and Patriot, does Brood have a higher or lower game seen rate than Patriot, or is he played in more games is the way that we're going to phrase this. Understand, good sir?
I do understand. I feel like I'm on the Price is Right.
And do you feel confident?
Yeah, I am. I have my name badge, Alex. I'm just like going nuts in the stands.
Come on down, Mr. Alex Coccia. You can win yourself a spot in the Snapchat. We don't got rewards here. If someone sponsor us. Okay, so let's go and jump right in, buddy. In our first card here, in the middles of the screen, you guys can see we've got Magic versus Blue Marvel. Does Magic have a higher or lower play rate, or just in general index?
That's a hard one. You gotta get started with
They're
one
all
so
hard.
damn hard, man.
Hey,
you couldn't give me M'Baku?
Yeah. Oh, did you just start playing Marvel Snap? Did you just start playing? You new player?
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
they're
go
all
Magic
hard.
has a lower play rate than Blue Marvel currently.
Show me the board. You're wrong. I was trying to think of a great way to say you're wrong. Magic has a higher play rate than Blue Marvel. And you know, you gotta love this, dude, because you're right. I did not give this easy for you at all. Right now, last 30 days, Magic, and I'm not gonna do this for all these because I'd have to scroll and find it. Magic is like 12th, man, on the list of one of the highest games seen right now, which is very surprising. Blue Marvel's still very high. You're not like too far. He's about 12 spaces down. Or Blue Marvel's 12 spaces down from Magic. But no, definitely not correct. What do you attest to that? Do you think Magic's just in a lot of combo builds?
No, I thought that like Gilgamesh Zoo is doing really good, and Blue Marble's a huge part of that, man. Like I think that Gilgamesh Zoo is legit like a good deck, man.
And just Blue Marvel is just typically was in a lot of. I mean, with the Iron Lad days, he used to be in like damn near everything. Now we're not going to do this with all of them, but we're going to take Blue Marvel now. So now that's your new card versus Enchantress. Is Blue Marvel have a higher or lower play rate than Enchantress?
Oh, last 30 days. Oh man, I don't want to be wrong again, but I would say Blue Marvel has to be higher than Enchantress.
All right, and I understand that. I totally understand that. But, sir, would you believe that Enchantress has been seen in 48,471 games and Blue Marvel only in 43,000 in the last 30 days?
Because of Airsham.
Oh, yeah. Does that not rock your world, man? Enchantress right now is in more games seen across all ranks and collection levels than Blue Marvel.
After I said it, I'm like, Alex, you're wrong, because it's like the Darkhawk mirror match in Airsham everyone's teching in Enchantress for. Why don't I just smarten up? I'm getting this next one right or I'm quitting the Snapchat.
It's a wild game show. Hey, if you're listening right now and you're yelling it to the ether in your car and you've gotten them both correct, me and Alex just want to give you a soft golf clap right now. You can't hear it. The mic's covering up, but we did clap for you. Okay, next up we have Enchantress yet again. Okay, this will be the last one that we take to the next one. Does Enchantress, have she been in more decks, more games seen than Absorbing Man?
Oh man, that's so hard. But there's no way. Absorbing Man has to be higher. You got the Blob synergy now. You have Brood and Absorbing Man. It has to be Absorbing Man. If I'm wrong, I'm done. I don't know what else to do.
You're willing to go 0 for 3. Is this your final answer?
You're scaring me, man. There's no way. There's just no way Absorbing Man is lower.
I swear I want to be a game show host one day. You are correct. Enchantress has a lower play rate or game scene than Absorbing Man, who is higher. I think the margin is actually pretty decent. Absorbing Man is, let's go and check it out, a fair amount. About 10 spots up. A little bit lower than Magic still, which is crazy to me. Absorbing Man sitting at 60,000. Enchantress was down to the 43. So, Alex,
did you try and fake me out, man? Did you actually try to fake me out to change my answer to the wrong one?
I have to play neutral. I can't give you any special treatment. You know, I'm just stating. Is it your final answer? I'm just looking out for the company. I don't know what company.
But the way you said it though, it's like you were cueing me to change my answer. That was like shifty, man. You made me dig my heels in on a question that I thought I might have been wrong on.
I was channeling my inner Regis Philbin over here for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Okay, next one up. We got about 6 more, okay? Null versus Dr. Doom. Does Null have a more game seen rate than Dr. Doom?
You know what? I would actually go higher on Null right now. I think that Dr. Doom, while being good, is not seen in as many decks. His heyday was the Miss Marvel days, but Null Destroy is still so ever popular.
You want to lock that in, Alex?
I hate that question. Yes, final answer.
Want to lock it in? Those listening in the car as well? Yes, much higher actually. Dr. Doom is pretty low in terms of play rate right now, which is wild because he was nerfed not long ago, right? And they had to take him back, and then we've always considered him kind of the perfect card. But Dr. Doom's at 27,000, and Noel's at 36,000. So pretty big disparity there in the last 30 days between them. Alex, you're 2 for 2. You're making it up. Folks,
thank you. Let's just forget about the other ones I got wrong. Yeah, 2 for 2 is where I am right now.
Yeah. Let's see if let's see. Yeah, no, wait. Are you 2? You got 1, 2, 3. Never mind. Wait, no. You got 2. You're 2 for 2. You're 2 for 2. All right. No, sorry. 2 and 2. My bad. There you go. There's the lingo.
That's what I thought. You were just
SOP.
knocking off the losses.
Trying to help you out. Those are the warm up questions. All right, let's go. Iron Lad versus Green Goblin. Does Iron Lad have a more game seen than Green Goblin?
Cozy, I'm taking the lower on this one. Iron Lad definitely lower than Green Goblin.
I feel like I spoiled it a little bit on the pre-intro where I was like, Iron Lad's statistics are going to surprise you. You know what? I gave you a freebie there. But hey, you're 3 to 2. I like it. Iron Lad, that surprised me. I think Junk is obviously popular right now, but did you think that Green Goblin would have had a higher play rate?
I think that the Viper change is bringing Junk back in a really new way, and so I can see Green Goblin making a lot of decks. Hobgoblin would have been tougher because that would have been closer with Iron Lad, but I think that Green Goblin's pretty popular right now.
Funny enough, there's a 0.1% difference. 24,460, 24,402. So not a huge disparity. It was closer than you think, but you did nail it on the head. We got 4 more for you. Sandman versus Stature. Is Sandman higher or lower in terms of game seen than Stature?
This is hard, but I'll take the higher on Sandman.
Take the higher on Sandman. And tell me why.
Because Sandman was seeing some experimentation with Makari over the last month. And I mean, Stature, I've seen some people play Stature, but like that person's been drunk and I'm not sure what's going on there. Also, Erisham Stature gamers out there, I guess, maybe. But I feel like there was an actual Sandman deck that might have made the card more popular.
I see neither is my answer. Almost like I don't see many of them, but yeah, it has been a hot minute since like Sokovia hit me and someone's like, aha, I don't even see a lot of discard if I'm being honest. Like outside of Hella and stuff, like traditional discard, I don't see too much of that either.
No, we're not seeing a lot of it, yeah.
Well, you're correct, buddy. Sandman has a higher game scene than Stature. Alex, you're hot right now. You're hot. You're 4.
I just might take my shirt off.
4-2. Well, that's at the end. That's when you win. You get the new car. Okay, so hold on there, Skippy. Let's keep it PG for now. Guys, 3 more if you're doing it with doing it yourself, doing it in the car there. Swordmaster. Yeah, no. I was like trying to work on my phrasing there. Swordmaster versus Arrow.
This is so mean. That's like savage, man. Like these are so hard.
Okay. Yeah.
Swordmaster versus Arrow, both completely irrelevant cards. One's cute though. Swordmaster's
pretty cute.
He's pretty cute. Yeah. You know, I feel like you're trying to. I want to pick Arrow because that's what you want me to pick, and that's you actually chose Swordmaster, and Swordmaster's probably the correct answer. But also the other side of it, like the meta of the way Cozy would approach this, is he wants me to pick Arrow so that he can talk about Arrow. So I'm really confused. I'm gonna go Arrow. Arrow being more, but no, there's no way. There has to be. Sandman still sucks. Not Sandman. Swordmaster. I can't even remember. Arrow. Final answer.
He thinks he can crack the code, guys. He thinks he knows me. He thinks he can read
Buddy,
this.
I talked for 2 seconds and just rambled.
Hey.
I rambled for like that whole speech. I don't even know what I said.
Swordmaster, 0.8% in game scene. Arrow is currently the lowest card in the game scene right now. That's the wrong answer to you, my man. Swordmaster is higher than Arrow. Can you believe Arrow's got the lowest index at this moment in Marvel Snap?
It's a good thing she got nerfed.
It's a good thing she got nerfed. They took care of her. They took her behind the shed and killed her. My sweet Arrow, guys. That blew my mind. At this point, Alex is going to assume anything that I bring up a random card like Swordmaster. He's just going to be like, higher. There's no way. Yeah. There's no way. Alex.
It's crazy to me to think that like Arrow's actually that low, like less played than Strong Guy.
I know. It's tied with like Maria Hill. Oh my God. Oh my God. You're 4 and 3. All right. So you're above 500. You're above 500. We got 2 more. Jean Grey versus M'Baku, higher or lower?
Oh, M'Baku. I'm taking M'Baku higher. Has to be. Erisham gamers out there, unite. Let's go. M'Baku higher over Jean Grey.
I love you can tell the cards that Alex plays against and or plays that he just knows. He locks it in. He's done. Is that your final answer, buddy?
That's my final answer, 100%.
Correct. Yeah, no question. M'Baku's got a much higher play rate than scene rate and included index than Jean Grey at the moment. Sad day for Jean Grey lovers, fans, and myself included. We're going to finish on our last one as Alex is guaranteed to have above 500 and guaranteed to get at least a new car. Helicarrier versus Doctor Strange.
That's so hard too, man. Because we got the Miles Morales buff. So Move gamers trying to like play Move again. So there might be a spike in Doctor Strange. Helicarrier though, it was so meta relevant, but then discard just kind of fell off. Not only because it's bad, just because I think people just got bored of it and stopped playing it. I think it's still good. I am going to go Doctor Strange, and I'm not confident, but I'm going to go with Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange has a higher.
I'm going with like the momentum. Doctor Strange is higher because of the Miles Morales buff. That's what I'm going with.
Everything on the line right now. You're going to lock it in?
See that question? It's so complex. I don't know the meta of your phrasing here. Okay, final answer, Cozy. Doctor Strange.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Coccia has won himself a brand new car. Alex, what are you picking? Is it your Costco favorite? Is it a minivan for the family? What do you want? You get a pick right now. Imagination Land. What do you want?
I would like a Toyota Sienna.
3, 2, 1. We are out of those. You get nothing. All right, guys. Well, thank you for coming to this edition of Higher and Lower. Alex, you did a great job. Those were not easy questions. Want to know? Comment down below how you guys think you did yourself. And thanks for having fun with me, buddy. We're going to transition to our last subject, though, as we do a little bit of a break here and go into free-to-play, best free-to-play picks, cards, and decks. And kind of the nurture of this conversation, Alex, is we have a lot of people that see cards like Copycat, they see cards like Fastos or whatever, plug and play cards, and they're like, I want it, but I can't get a lot of cards, right? And so really the nature of this is there are cards that are plug and playable, and there are ones that you need to build around. And so I try to look at one card that can drastically, or two, drastically change the way you play Snap, the way you can be competitive or have fun or just get in there. Get in there with not a lot of investment outside of just playing the game naturally, getting the pool 1 through 3 cards with virtually not a Mockingbird, not some of these other cards you might see, but some easy ones to grab. We're going to try to keep it between Series 4 for most and or just game-changing cards there. And so, Alex, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. And some of these I think you guys will know, but some of these, especially if you're either new, these are ones to target, man, right away. And I want to start with an obvious one because the nature of this week, right? Listen, there's a reason why Destroy is so popular. A, you get to kill stuff. B, it's really cool to see things go boom and go away. But in general, Alex, I feel like Destroy is such a great place to start the game and get things rolling, and it doesn't require a big investment. I myself would pick X23 before Null. I think Null is a great card as well. But snagging yourself X23 is a huge bump up. Arguably, you want both of them, but either or is a nice transition on how to learn how to play a deck. You don't have to have any cards to play the base Destroy deck, and then evolving into something more if you decide you like the archetype.
Oh, you're 100% right. In fact, X23 is what usually allows you to play Deadpool Null on turn 6, right? So, I absolutely agree. X23 has been a remarkably resilient card, and it's an absolute staple in Destroy. That's definitely a good call, 100%. And if you're a player who wants to, kind of be competitive, Destroy is never going to completely take over the meta. But we've joked about it being the barometer by which all other decks are measured. It is one of the most consistent performing decks. It's always in the mid 50s. It's always relevant. It's never overpowering, but it's never bad either.
Yeah, it's like the football team, guys, that has just such a great record. They're doing good. You know they're not going to win the Super Bowl, but they can win games. They can win games they're not supposed to. They can lose games they're not supposed to, but they're very solid and it's safe. There's not really a time where Destroy's out. I can't think of one that it's out. It's not worth playing. It's not good. Very safe pick, especially if you have this FOMO. Should I get this card? Should I get this card? You don't have to, because you know why? It's so hard to get new cards in Destroy. That list is tight. It's very tight and definitely one of my favorites. Alex, you got a card for me?
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, this is just checking an item off a box here. We talk about Loki. I feel like I talk about Loki every single time a topic like this comes up. We talk free-to-play players, collection building. Loki is an absolute paramount card to have in your collection. It completely changes the way you play Marvel Snap. The core shell of it, you could have a couple expensive cards in it, but realistically, one of the most popular versions of Loki right now are like a Devil Dinosaur based shell that runs like Agent 13 and Agent Coulson, all those types of cards, and you have them readily available. It's so remarkable what Loki can do. Moreover, if your opponent is, a whale and they have all the cards, you're like, man, this guy's playing everything. We'll just steal their deck and play them for you, right? And you can start to learn oh, Blob is pretty damn cool, isn't he? Oh, look at this. You can start to play with their combinations and stuff like that and get a hang of what cards you might be interested in, investing in the future. I think Loki's a must-have, 100%.
All right, but for me, listen, this is a little, maybe not off the beaten path a tad, but when I look at a card that you don't need anything that's great outside of just the one, right? You got all pool 1 through 3 and then one card that can take a lot of decks by surprise, and it can beat decks if they don't have the counter. We just talked about her play rate being somewhat high, but I do want to continue to shout out Living Tribunal. I think Living Tribunal is a really interesting deck build that you just don't have to have a lot around. It's the Iron Man, it's the Onslaught, it's the Sarah. There are cards that can complement it, but there's not a lot that are new cards that you add to this build. It's just a firm list and what it does great, right? And so I think Living Tribunal is beginning to be one of those really strong free-to-play decks now, if you could just invest in him.
And one of the benefits of Tribunal as well is until you're playing against very experienced players at higher MMRs or whatever, it doesn't really show itself as obviously as some other decks. I feel like players, especially if you're relatively new and you're matchmaking against other relatively new players, Living Tribunal will be like a game stealer on turn 6. I think that its play pattern is less obvious than some other decks. And as a result, Living Tribunal, I think, can steal cubes for you.
I just lost one the other day and I knew I was playing him, okay? I had a Sinister London Nexus game. And I myself, though, had Blob and a free Scar. And I'm like, double Blob, sucking up twice, going into the Nexus guaranteed. I'm like, dude, I don't care what this thing gets. I'm going to win. I lost. I lost the game, and barely. I lost by 1 on one location. But at the end of the day, he can be hard to calculate. on a quick game, good math, and the more you play and the more you understand them. And cards like that are just invaluable. They're so great to have to your advantage there. So yeah, this is definitely one I don't see mentioned enough. Tribunal's up there, right? I would say I'm a little bit hesitant on Ravona that can be in Tribunal decks right this second because of what they said in the OTA, that they're looking at her. If this was a few months ago, I'd say Ravona is a safer pick, but I'm hesitant on her now.
Yeah, Ravona also has the advantage of being a Series 4 card, so it's a little less expensive, which is nice. But you're right, like she is kind of in the crosshairs a little bit from the design team. Anytime you have a card that might be modifying design space, like one of the reasons why we love Ravona is like, well, every single card that comes out with those stat lines or any buffs that happen could potentially be buffs for Ravona. So it wouldn't surprise me that they're kind of looking at her, but I still think she's a great card, although much more niche than Tribunal. Another card that I think does a really good job of exactly what Tribunal did for all the reasons why Cozy explained is High Evo. High Evo basically is an auto deck build. You get High Evo and you pretty much have everything right there. It makes that Cyclops you're wondering about like suddenly feel better, right? And High Evo isn't in the best spot right now, but I feel like if you're a relatively new player and you got one card to buy and you decide to go High Evo, it's a deck you can be competitive with. It might require in the future another Series 4 or 5 card. I can see them releasing cards in the future to give High Evo a little bit. I think that's what Ajax was perhaps intended to do. But I think High Evo is a pretty solid choice as well.
He's certainly not in a bad place. And again, he's a card that the more you like him, the more you can invest and you go the Ajax route. I also like that you can go 2 deck build paths with him. So he can kind of scratch 2 itches at once. But at the same time, he's a good fundamental card to learn how to play the game, to learn to count energy, and just kind of learn around the basics. And he is the definition. Yes, you have to save up a little bit for him. If you play the game, you're going to get tokens. You're going to be able to get these cards free to play. He's a great candidate because to our point to Loki and to some of these cards like Tribunal, you just don't need a lot around him. And he's the best point of that because they're all cards that you should have outside of maybe Wasp and a couple others for absolute free. So do like High Evo. Great pick. No question about it. I think this one's obvious because of how much we talk about him, but if someone was starting out today and they just wanted to get like one card to just start building around, we did talk about how tight Surfer lists are, but I just would be, this to me, why I love Surfer is there is negative Surfer, there's toxic Surfer, there's make your own deck, be creative Surfer, and then there's, control Surfer. There's so many versions of it, and you can build into it because there's 3 cuss cards coming out every freaking week, right? We've got Sebastian Shaw, we've got Fastos, you got Copycat. Surfer might be the best or damn near close card that you can continue to build upon, learn, and perfect.
It's my favorite card in the game. It's my favorite archetype in the game. I can't stop playing it. I love playing it. And you're right, it is relatively inexpensive. Sarah being's Series 3, then you have like the Killmonger Nova package. And then from there, it's like just start putting stuff in there, right? Like you can even put like Goose as your 2-drop if you don't have Jeff. There's a lot of creative things that you can do with Silver Surfer on a budget. Forge, relatively inexpensive. Brood's inexpensive. Absorbing Man is Series 3 now, isn't it? And I'm thinking.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he went down, didn't he? If he's Series 4, it's still relatively inexpensive too. But ultimately, I do think Silver Surfer is an absolutely fantastic call because for all those reasons, and depending on the meta, you can start teching in a lot of pieces into Silver Surfer, right? You got Rogues, you got Red Guardian, you have Cosmo, which a lot of people forget exists. You have so many options. And if Galactus gets popular, use Polaris, right? You have lots of options with Silver Surfer depending on what the meta is.
And then obviously, man, Darkhawk, we know, we talk about plenty. Darkhawk, just a great card that's timeless. It disrupts, it does its thing well. They've already adjusted enough. I don't know if he'll keep getting adjusted. Just a good card in the game. Love him. You can grab him. To end the Snapchat here, Alex, I did want to touch on it. You guys may notice we don't have a subject on it. Quickly, the OTA, just one of your general thoughts, man. What is like the biggest winners and losers in your book there? If you got some good time to play there, kick us off pretty easy. I mean, I think Viper finally has her own freaking identity in the game and is an absolute home run hit, kind of getting a new card, if you will.
Yeah, Viper was by far the biggest winner, I think. This type of targeted ability. Think about what Blade was prior to Blade's targeted change, right? It's a perfect example. Like, Blade was useless in discard, and then now it's an absolute shoe-in in every single discard deck. And now Viper has that same optionality where it's like, hey, I can play it in a location and not kick over my 5 cost that I didn't want to kick over. It's suddenly not the worst thing you can top deck on turn 6. it makes so much more sense now, right? And so I really do like the change to Viper. What I will say though, I was a little disappointed with the change to Lockjaw. While I want Lockjaw to kind of be playable again, I like that rotation stuff. I want to go back to an idea that we talked about on the Snapchat several months ago, where I think that Lockjaw, whatever power it is, 3 cost, 4 cost, whatever. I think that much in line with the show, I was going to say the Immortals. That's not what it is. I can't remember. It was so forgettable. The Inhumans show. Every time Lockjaw rotates something out, have it debuff itself. -1, -1, -1. I think that's a really interesting way to offset the RNG of, hey, I'm throwing something in Lockjaw, I'm paying in it for his power, but I'm also cheating something out. I think it's a very interesting way of approaching it. Make him a 3 cost again, but make him potentially get to 0 energy if you keep rotating things through him. It's legitimately in line with the lore, the fact that he gets tired when he teleports. That's what I would have liked to have seen.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good lore point. I like 3 cost. I think 3 cost ultimately is his best home because outside of Thanos and Jane Jaw, it's just hard to make work in much. And now we have things like the Jubilee and Blink to play in him. He definitely is much better than he was. Definitely much better. But I definitely like what you're saying with the 3 cost. Outside of that, we had small adjustments to Sauron, Werewolf by Night, and Hitmonkey. What did you think of them? What do you think of the animals?
I don't think they really change much. Like I played some Werewolf and I was like, it still feels clunkier. Does not have the verticality that you'd like from what you have to like really commit to. Like you have to commit to a Werewolf by Night deck, and it doesn't feel like it pays off in the way that like other decks will, right? Okay. So Hitmonkey, it needed the extra power, but I feel like there's better ways. Like if Sasquatch exists, right, and Mockingbird still being what it is, it's like those decks are more likely to not have to include Hitmonkey still. So kind of interesting spot for that card.
Yeah, I think Hitmonkey with balance definitely went up in that regard. Definitely, you play one of the cards, the 3/5, you got the value there, and you're going to play more than one card. And then you've got like the pop-off potential with things like Mysterio. It's kind of going into Mockingbird. Mockingbird getting nerfed almost meant nothing in my opinion. Yes, I get it, but also if anything, it's a buff to things like Nick Fury, the Hulkling coming out. Because decks that are dedicated, maybe it lowers her plug and play ability a bit. But I oftentimes got her so cheap anyway, right? In a ton of different decks. It'll probably make it a bit smaller in some of that more wide scheme stuff. But yeah, Mockingbird is still pretty filthy, buddy. I can't believe they gave her power alongside it too.
I think it's actually a nerf. I think the 6/10 is a nerf.
Sure. Definitely.
Because no, what I mean is that like if the power's a nerf, because if you play her out early, now she's very susceptible to Shang-Chi.
Okay.
Before she was if she was a 6/9, I think that'd probably be better than a 6/10. Not necessarily like in some circumstances, because Mockingbird, you were able to play her on turn 3, just like, what are you gonna do, bro? Nothing. You can't do anything about this card.
I do agree. I will say this, so if you play it like a Scar package, but talk about a glow up, man. Scar's had so many cards come out to really help the guy out. Like he's consistently 2 at this point, and he loves this. But I hear the Shang-Chi thing a lot, and it's like, people can't Shang-Chi every lane. They can't Shang-Chi every single lane, right? But I do get what you're saying. The Kyera synergy's there as well a bit, and sometimes like holding on to Mockingbird is fine in play. I get what you mean though. You do have that added risk, which should be, added to her. Because if you're going to play her out early, like Sasquatch, you best damn expect that you could get punched in the face.
Buddy, it's so simple. Everyone says, oh, you can't play Shang-Chi everywhere, okay? You pump Hope Summers, right? Who actually is a great free-to-play pick, by the way. You pump Hope Summers hard, right? And then that's going to be taken out of context. And then what you do is you play Shang-Chi, okay? You Grandmaster. No, Shang-Chi, Absorbing Man, Grandmaster. Boom, 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 boom.
Okay. Love it. Done. There's a deck. Yeah, we saw that for a little bit, man. There was like the triple tech deck for a tad bit. The Enchantress, the Absorber Man, the Grandmaster play. I like what you're putting down.
You mean pretty much every Airsham deck?
Yeah, I know. Well, we're going to talk about that more on your side. And then lastly, Blob, which I think is fine on a number of reasons. Why? Funny enough, we just talked about this whole interaction, and then bam, he's taking care of the next OTA, right? Now, on Alex's side of the Snapchat, guys, we're talking about Ajax and his final rankings, the villains of Marvel Snap, and a conversation about Airstrom, and the Snapchat mailbag. If you guys are at Comic-Con, be sure to stop by, say what's up. Love to interact with you guys as fans. And then, Catch Friday, Conquerors, maximum effort. Alex and I will be casting it. Have a good one. Have a great one. To the next one. Happy snapping, guys.